So let us work on the problem in which we reverse a string. This is like the basic, like the simplest problem ever. It's asked in most of the interviews. It is very simple. Now so I'm going to show it in C# because this is Visual Studio and this is a console app, but basically all the functionality would be in this method. So let's start working on it. So we have to reverse a string and return a string. So let's get to it. So first convert the string into a character array, so which is denoted by char array equal to new char, and I believe we have to give the size, so that would be str dot length, and we create a character array of the same length as string. Create a char array of same length as the string. Note the caveat in this problem is that you have to reverse the string and you have to do it in place operation. Otherwise it would be too simple. What it means to do something in place is you do not allocate new memory. You just use whatever is given to you. In this case, you would just use your initial character array, and yeah, like you can also actually have the input as a character array, and you can send it out as a character array, and all you have to do is reverse it in place. But in place, again, I would like to clarify what it means is you would not assign any new memory space. You would use whatever is given to you. So let's get started. So here what we have to do is let me explain this first. So let me open a new section, and the page says reverse string in place. So usually C# has a reverse operation, but in interviews you would not be expected to use that. You would be expected to come up with your own stuff, as in the old C language. So that is the reason I'm using char array. Otherwise I would have just done string.reverse and the problem would have been solved, but you don't want to do that. That's not what the interviewer is looking at. So here, say you have a string, say this is your string, it has 5 places, and the values are, let's say, sorry about that, let's say you have JACOB in your character array. So what you have to do is you have to reverse these values and create a new character array which has the following: BOCAB. So this is the array positioning 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the final array positioning is as follows. So sorry about this. So you need bogaj at the end. So this is for the odd number of characters. This is like a 5-letter word, 5-lettered or odd numbered. In the case of even numbered, let's say you have a value jack. So this is even numbered and you want KCAJ. So what we have to do is all these places, like in this case, in the first case, what we have to do is replace this by this. So this has to get replaced. Replace this by this, get this replaced, and keep this same. It does not matter, it goes to the same place. And in this case you have to replace this by this and this by this, and that's it. So how the code works is traverse from here till this place and reverse all these values with these values. Now say this value is I, that is I equal to 0. So this value would be so in our case we have n minus I, where n is equal to string dot length string dot length minus 1. So here if you see our string dot length is 5 minus 1, that is 4. So initially I is 0, so n minus I is 4 minus 0, that is 4. So I gets replaced by n minus I. So you have to basically replace array of I with array of n minus I. And if you see here, I is equal to 1, n minus I is equal to 3, so you replace 1 by 3. Now your value of I should go from 0 to n by 2. So if in this case you take n by 2, that would be 5 by 2, that is equal to 2.5. Since this value would be considered as an integer, so this 0.5 gets dropped, so you have 2. So actually, but you do not have to go till this place. So you do like n by 2 minus 1, and that minus 1, so you go till there in the for loop. So let's see whether that thing works here. In this case our n is equal to 4, so n by 2 is 2 and minus 1, so that is 1. So you go from 0 to 1, and that is correct, and do this operation. This is the operation that's gonna save us. So now it's pretty easy. Let's code it up real fast. So get a for loop and get a int I equal to 0. Let's first get the length of the string. So the length here would be int len equal to str dot length, that is the value n. So I equals 0, sorry about that, less than n by 2. So in this case we want len. So what we do is for this operation where when we have 5 by 2 and we want 2 instead of 2.5, like the 0.5 should get dropped, so we would do like a floor. What the floor means is it rounds it back to the lower integer, so we have 2 with us. So let's use that in C#. So I think it's in math dot floor, oops, sorry about that, math dot floor, you do a len by 2, and you have to do a -1 here. Oops. So okay, so you have to do a 2.0 so that this value becomes a decimal, and you would take a floor on a double value. Like, you cannot take a floor on int value, and you make sure it is less than or equal to floor -1, or in our case we can just have less than, and we can omit this -1, and we have to do I++, and our for loop would have something like this. So we need to exchange things between error I and error n-I. So this is how we do it. So initially what you have to do is store this value in a temp variable, and whatever is in this place, take it here and put the stuff from temp to this place. So let's do that. So let's have a temp variable, let's call it temp, and let's put the value str I in it, and then we have str n, in this case len len -1 minus I is equal to, so sorry about that. So we have saved the str I value here, and we put this value in str I, and let's do we need to put the temp back in this place. So this would be equal to temp, and at the end just return the str. So this should do the job. Now, to make sure that we are actually doing stuff, let's see whether this actually works. So test calls for reverse string, but these are all string problems, and let's do it. So here, this is a class, and we need to call it, like, give the using statement here, and since we have a static method, so we have reverse string, we need to give something in this, and let's take a value. So we would have something string input equal to console dot read line. So we would read the whole line and put it in input, and then we need to convert this input into char array. Wow, this is amazing. So we convert this into char array and send it in, and whatever comes out, let's write that console dot write line, and we will write this thing. So the output is a char array, so you convert it back to string, to string, and hopefully this should work. Also put a console dot read line here so that the console application does not get closed, and let's see whether it works. So it started. Now let's put Jacob. Oops, it has given us back system.care. So it's my fault. Seems like I cannot directly convert char like this, so I would have to do something here, new string, and pass this character into that. So let's do that, and this should work. So let's type Jacob, and we have Bokaj. Very cool. And so let's have our test cases here. Let's have S, and we should get S back. Let's have a vir. Oops, sorry about that. Let's have a vir, and we should have rev. So the point is, it works both for odd numbered strings and even numbered strings. So all in all, this thing works.